Thank you, Laura. Good to
Hi there,
see you
how's
guys.
everybody doing? Hello, woohoo! You can see Lamar, Party, Baton Rouge. Shout out to the sponsor. So that's our agenda. Let's, oh, they want me to turn the slides. Okay, I can do that too. Okay, so let's talk about this one. So I'm a money girl. I'm here to talk about the money. And the first thing I'm going to say is I prefer the PQ media data because it's 20% higher. But basically, this is the outlook for the out-of-home forecast, going from sort of 11 billion to 13.5 billion round numbers. The e-marketers numbers are much lower. And the problem in my world is what happens is there's a big pool of money that invests money. And if you're a conservative investor, you want to buy low and sell high. And so what happens is when you have e-marketer telling you that it's an $8 billion business and PQ Media saying it's $11 billion business, the guy who's really pessimistic takes the lower number and then puts a lower multiple on it, so he's not willing to pay as much. So somebody's job should be to close this gap and get the e-marketer number up to the PQ Media number, because that'd be the first thing that would lower the cost of capital for this wonderful industry. The other thing is, one of them is saying that the industry is going to grow at 1%, and the other one says it's going to grow at 5%. So you're going to get a lower cost of capital in my world if you can converge those numbers and say it's going to grow at 5%. So year-over-year growth, I mean, I know you guys do digital, but these are just the general numbers, and digital is a subset of these. One really nice thing for the industry is that it's the only thing that's growing in the traditional world, right? So these are, again, e-marketer numbers. Print and directories down a lot, and out-of-home up at 1%. I actually think that number is going to be low, and I think PQ Media is going to have the right number. Let's talk about digital. So I thought that was really interesting. So I spend most of my time on Wall Street with the FANGs, which are Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Netflix, and Google, which is where all of the outperformance has been. And so that's the data in the back. So that is that beautiful graph really shows 20% compound annual growth rates, including the most recent year at 22%. And it's now the digital world, not out of home, but just digital, meaning Facebook and Google, are $107 billion since 2000. So what's funny to me is, while this has been going on, out of home's been flat at like 10 or 8, depending on who you ask. It's as if the digital revolution didn't happen in out of home. So that's sort of interesting to me. But I thought this was interesting. So this is June of 19. Everything I gave you here is in the last 6 months because I have a lot of current data, especially when we get to the streaming, which is where I spend my time. But I thought this was really actually good for you. So 29% of media executives say they're going to spend more money in outdoor, and 23% say less. A lot of these are, 47% says Yellow Pages are going to spend less. The problem is the top 3 categories, right? Digital video, we're getting this, we went from display to mobile, and now mobile's moving to digital video. So we're going to get this massive, I think, within the media landscape, a massive shift of mobile money into video. So I think that's what's happening next, and you sort of see that in these increase, decrease numbers. But outdoor's still going to grow, according to this June 19. So I wanted to show you this. So I think that all these numbers are going to be low. And I think this is digital, specifically digital out of home. And I think the first reason is because what this chart shows is that of that huge ramp I showed you to $107 billion, 3 companies are 70% of that: Google, Facebook, and Amazon. Guess who's under scrutiny in Washington, D.C. and getting called? Senior executives are getting called every month to prep for a month so that they can go and testify for 3, 6, 8 hours. That is distracting senior management. So it is my view that over the next 2 years, these companies that have 70% of that massive number, 107 billion, are going to be distracted, and they are not going to be moving product forward. And in fact, Mark Zuckerberg has said that he's going to pull his best engineers out of product and have them working on privacy, which is the key focus of the government in order to allay the Facebook concern. So what that means is I think that for the first time, the digital media world is going to grow faster than these 3 big companies, which is going to create billions of dollars of availability for industries that are digital, like digital out of home. And it is possible you will be able to land grab back some of this 70% that these big companies have grabbed out of that media budget, because they are going to be distracted for the next, I think 24 months, actually. It is also possible that at the end of 24 months, as the government and the states and the FTC and the DOJ wrap up what it is they conclude after, because they're all lawyers, so it's going to take them 2 years to study this stuff, that it is possible that they break up some of these companies, and that actually helps you more, because they actually destroy some of the bundling characteristics that makes those companies so effective at garnering the 70% market share. The other thing I wanted to talk about was this slide I thought was interesting, and this is another reason that I think out-of-home estimates will be low, and that you guys are going to grow faster than the 1%, the 5%, and be bigger than people think. And that has to do with the cost, the ad revenue per user per hour. So what I would think of as, and this is predicated on this idea. So in the TV landscape, in the TV world, there is $150 billion a year in America alone, of which 70 billion, round numbers, is advertising. And the problem is we're about to get Disney Plus and Apple Plus launching new subscription video on demand services, and they have 0 ads. So all of these new competitors are going to start offering awesome content and pulling more hours, let's call it ad units, out of the linear TV ecosystem or out of television and putting it behind a paywall with no ads. So the best question becomes, from a money flow point of view, is where does the $70 billion a year of TV ads go? It has to reach those people. Out of home reaches those people. In planes, you know, in train stations like Grand Central, on the street, in planes, in taxis. Those people that are no longer available in the home on television do walk by your signs. So it is my view, and this industry we've established is somewhere between sort of 8 and 11 billion. The money at stake is $70 billion a year that needs to access the people that are now escaping or leaving and going behind a paywall in SVOD. So this, I think, is really interesting, because what it shows is that per hour, the bottom half is digital, so let's start there, because that's this room. Digital radio and digital out-of-home are much cheaper on a per-user, per-hour basis than digital video or social networks. Look how expensive social networks are. The yellow bar is most recent. The blue bar is oldest. And then up on the top, US out-of-home is even cheaper than radio, which that actually stunned me. But anyway, you've got a really good risk-reward and balance of cost per hour per user. So I actually think that out-of-home will grow a lot faster, because we're seeing right now in the TV world, CPMs are through the roof, because ad units, the supply of ad units is leaving, is lessening, is falling, and it's going to get worse the minute on November 1st when Apple Plus launches, and it will get worse again when Disney launches on November 12th. Okay, let's talk about streaming. They talked, so these both charts are from August of 19. These charts are a month old, round numbers. Time spent, so one of the big differences we're seeing right now is connected TVs. Again, the time spent with video moving off of mobile and back into the connected TVs, that's that top chart, that connected TV is growing 143% a year. And then this is fascinating. This is Nielsen, again, very recent, just last month. What it says, the bottom chart is streaming how much total television you watch. So they watch an hour less a day, 4.5 hours, not 5.5 hours, and that big, there's a cable TV comes. The internet connected TV is this 57 minutes in blue on the bottom chart, which means when you look at any other source of viewing, game consoles, DVRs, broadcaster cable, they're actually watching 2 hours less of what, let's call it, traditional devices for TV. So again, and OTT, streaming, is 20 years younger on average. So what that means is, like I said, the young people and in general streamers are disappearing from the ad-driven ad avails. Okay, streaming wars, who wins? So what this says, this is Parks Associates. What it says is this bottom light blue says that 30% of every single demo only takes one service. So the question that we're all wrestling with on Wall Street, people who get paid to predict the future and how to put money to work, is people are saying it's going to be additive. Disney's going to be additive. It's only $7 a month. Apple's going to be additive. We're saying, no, no, no. What the data shows is that 30% of every demo takes one streaming service. And when you're going to subscribe, a lot of people, when they subscribe for HBO to watch Game of Thrones, they turned off Netflix for 6 weeks. And then Game of Thrones ends, they went back to Netflix for 6 weeks. So my opinion is they're substitutive. And you know who has 60 million streaming subs? That would be Netflix, and that's who pays. So it's my opinion that actually Netflix has 90 million subs, because I know that when I pay for 4 streams, and half the time I go in, and no one's in the house, and my streams are being used because my kids have given their roommates all my passwords. So I don't think that, I think I'm paying for Netflix, but I think there's 5 people who have my password that I don't know who they are. So I think Netflix is everywhere, and they are the big loser, in my opinion, because they're the incumbent. And they will be losing because I think there's going to be substitution, and a lot of people are going to only take 1 or 2 services across demos. So I think Disney Plus wins because I think they have this anchor tendency of kids, anyone with kids in the home, and they've started a price war that Apple joined in, and so now you can get Disney for 3 years at $3, about $110 for 3 years. And they're going to end up bundling it with your theme park tickets and your tickets to the movies, and they have a lot of other properties that they can bundle with. I think that Apple wins because if you buy any Apple device, you're going to get 12 months for free, and then you're going to forget it's there, and they're going to bill you like they bill you for the cloud, or they bill you for, you know, your music service or your video game service, and it's going to be a family plan, so it's going to feel very inexpensive, and they're going to use that to get you to buy the next Apple phone and to keep subscribing, to keep you longer in their ecosystem, and they don't care about the price. They're just trying to lock you into the $1,000 asset every 2 or 3 years that you upgrade. And who we think loses is Netflix. We are on the record as saying they cannot just have a $13 service. If Apple and Disney have $5 to $7 a month services, they must have a $6 service, and they must have ads. And Reese Hastings has consistently said he will not put ads on Netflix, but they don't have a balance sheet that just lets them lower the price from 13 to 6. I mean, they will literally go bankrupt, actually. So they have to, I'm there in a corner, and I'm dying to see how Reed Hastings gets out of this one. I also think that the product that HBO Max is going to introduce is far too expensive at $15. And they have a tough problem because HBO isn't allowed to be at any less expensive. So I think that's hard. So our winners are Disney, Amazon, and Apple, all bundled in with a service that you sort of get the video for free and don't care, sort of like Amazon Prime. And we think losers are Netflix and HBO Max. Peacock is free, so I don't know how you lose with free, but so I think they'll be a winner, but they're not really even an SVOD service that Wall Street's talking about yet. And that's it. I'm right on time. And I guess there's probably no time for questions, right? Our futurist is up. Thank you very much.